What is up, PSU Nation? We are back. We are PSU Sports Talk, back for another video. This one's kind of an exciting video because I want to say that the chaotic season is over. Unfortunately, I am going to be honest, I do think the chaos is just starting. Now that the bowl game has concluded, I do think there's going to be a lot of news breaking over the next couple days of guys who are either declaring for the draft that we didn't think were going to declare for the draft, or guys hitting the portal just because they're looking for a new home or trying to follow people to other schools, new opportunities. But let's go over a little bit of the bowl game yesterday. I thought it was a great showing for our Nittany Lions. They played pretty well. Defense, surprisingly, with all the young guys playing and all of the other guys who decided to opt out not playing, played extremely well. We have a bunch of young talent, especially in that cornerback room. So I'm excited to see if those guys are retained next year and where we go in terms of what style of defense we're looking to play. Darius Dixon is going to be a star. Whether we can keep him or not, that guy is going to shine bright. He is going to be a leader of a defense over the next couple of years. I'm excited to see what happens with him. Jameer Joseph, another stud out there at the cornerback position. Zion Tracy, I feel like we were hearing his name all day long while he wasn't necessarily getting the pass breakups or the tackles that everybody else was, because I believe he had 5 of them. He was all over the field. He was flying around. Obviously, denied Dennis Sutton. Came back as a senior, played, wasn't going to miss that opportunity. I do think his draft stock did increase from just playing and being pretty dominant all over the field. I will say I did see a little bit more hustle than some of those big games throughout the year that we were seeing a lack of hustle from him. So kudos to him for coming back, for playing and playing pretty much every snap. He was out there the entire game. I thought, just me personally, that he was going to play maybe the first quarter and then hang it up. No, he was out there until the fourth quarter, and he was running around like a workhorse. So shout out to him for coming back, being that leader. That is what we as Penn State fans would call a die-hard player. That's what we embrace, those people. That's someone that we want on our team. We don't want those guys who are just there to make the money. We want guys who live, breathe, die at Penn State. And to me, deny Dennis Sutton, he showed that yesterday. He was phenomenal. I believe he had 2 sacks and a pass breakup, and then a couple of tackles for losses. So yeah, he was all over the field, creating a lot of pressure. King Mack, I think he is someone who's going to come back. To be honest, I know all that leaked video. It made him look really good. He is definitely a leader within that room, the defensive room, and he understands where the team needs to go and what the team needs to be like to be successful. So he was out there, changed the number on us. It kind of threw, I think, us off. It threw the announcers off. It threw a lot of the Penn State media off because we weren't aware of him taking Elliot Washington's number, which was his original number when he was originally at Penn State before he went to Alabama and came back. Who else did we have who played well? Collins is another one, number 2 on the defense, cornerback. He was pretty locked down all day long. I know there was a couple of penalties there late in the game that, it could have went either way. He was stout. He was locked down. He was great. He's another young guy that I think is going to have a bright future there. I'm pretty excited to see the defense next year. I do think with Knowles gone, there's going to be a lot of change there, but I do think they'll be a lot stronger than what they were. I know that a lot of the senior players were saying that learning Knowles' defense was very hard for them, so I can only imagine for the young guys, that may have played a part into why they haven't have played as many snaps as they probably could have throughout the year. But at the same time, we weren't blowing teams out like we should have been to be able to get those young guys that extra snaps throughout the year. Let's transition into that offense. First half, I'll say I thought we played very poorly. I think some of the play calling was very weak. Once we got down into the red zone, especially that first drive, all we did was run the ball when passing the ball was what got us down into that red zone. I do think the second half we opened it up a little bit and we stopped playing cute and we actually played to win the game, and it was a great game, to be honest. Grunk, I think, is going to be a star if we allow him to throw the ball. I'm not a big fan of the read options. I know they made Drew play that a lot. Drew, I personally think, was a deep shot guy. If you let him air it out, he will throw it for 300 yards. Unfortunately, that was not our offensive coordinator or our head coach's kind of style. So that unfortunately made him not look as good as he probably was throughout his 4 years. And that's why we ultimately saw a little bit of a decline over the last couple years for his performance. But ultimately, I think Grunk was fantastic. He was 23 of 34 for 262 yards and 2 touchdowns. He really set the pace for the game. He was taking the easy throws. He was setting up the wide receivers to be successful. I do think the run game helped him a little bit. But at the same time, I think the first couple drives we started with Corey Smith out there? I believe it was. He was out there taking some of the reps. And to be honest, while I really like Corey Smith, I think he's going to be an amazing player. Again, he's one of the young guys in the room. He'll be a star. He had 9 carries for 17 yards, so he was averaging just under 2 yards a carry with a long of 7 yards. Uh, to be honest, I think he was getting a little lucky on the tackles that were happening on him. It just seemed as though he is a smaller guy, and we all know that. He had the injury last year. But it just seemed as though everybody was able to just grab his ankles and get him down every single time. He's quick. He needs to be a little bit more elusive, in my opinion. But that's where Quentin Martin came in. That was another 5-star guy, and he was phenomenal. He had 20 carries, 101 yards, so 5.1 an average, and his longest was 21. He looked good. He was able to read the holes, and he was able to shoot through the holes, which is something Katron was able to do this year, but Nick wasn't. I would have liked for him to get more touches this year. Unfortunately, again, I think a lot of the games were too close and shouldn't have been, where we should have got those young guys those much-needed reps for next year. He's someone I'd like to see us retain. We didn't get to see a whole lot of him this year, but I think we saw enough yesterday for us to keep him and put him as the focal back moving forward. I would like to retain the entire running back room. I do think it is one of the deepest running back rooms in the country with it's littered with 4 stars. There's a couple 5 stars in there, and even the 3 stars I think are better than people would imagine. Wide receiver wise, I think it was one of our best showings for wide receivers throughout the year, especially against a better competition. We've seen our guys do well against the mediocre schools, but we haven't really seen them step up against better teams. So Trevor Pena did well. He had 5 catches for 100 yards, averaged 20. His longest was 73. Obviously, that big touchdown where he caught it over the middle and broke free. Devontae Ross, someone I had hoped really broke out this year for us, didn't necessarily happen. He had 8 catches for 84 yards, kind of went a little bit unnoticed. I think because of the Trevor Pena and then the Rapile touchdown throughout the middle. But he had a great game. Average 10 yards, longest was 35. He was all over the field. You could see his effort was there. Glad that he came, played the game, did well. Kobe Howard, we saw him on the field a lot. I know he only had 2 catches for 34 yards, but he was on the field from, I believe, the first drive. I noticed he was out there. He was setting up good blocks, which is something that earlier in the season when we had our previous coach said he wasn't necessarily playing because he wasn't sealing out the blocks yet. So that's something that I think was a big improvement throughout the year, and we saw that change here yesterday. So he's someone I'd like to see come back next year. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that wide receiver room. I know it's deep, and I think they get a lot of hate for not necessarily producing as much as everybody wanted them to. But again, I will say that is a coaching issue, and I think it was more the style of offense that we were running didn't fit their need. We were trying to run the ball more than we were trying to throw the ball, which then you're obviously not going to see as many catches, as many yards throughout each game. So I don't think it's anything against them. I think previous years we had a really bad receiving core. I think this year our receiving core was good. I think it was pretty deep, to be honest. I think some of those freshmen are studs. Little disappointed with I'm not going to name anyone, but little disappointed with the wide receiver who walked off the field as soon as the game ended. Didn't necessarily stay to watch the celebration or partake in the celebration, and then threw his helmet on the ground rather than handing it to the equipment guy. Those type of players, I'll be honest with you, don't care to see them at Penn State. That's not who we want on the team. That's not what we want representing the team. So players like that, hey man, portal opens on the 2nd. You can hit the portal today. Let's get people who want to be a part of the program. Let's get people who want to come here to win a national title. You're not going to win a national title with that type of attitude. That pretty much sums up the game. I think it was a great game. Coach Smith, fantastic, got his W there. Really got the guys to buy back in. I don't know what the specific percentage is, but to start a season like that, 3-6, and then come back and end up being 7-6, pretty phenomenal. I don't think many teams are able to come back and have the success we had down the road. Ironically enough, I feel as though we played better against teams like Indiana, Iowa, Clemson, even Rutgers, Michigan State, than we did at the beginning of the season with FIU and those type of teams. So little disappointing there, but great way to end off the season. And I think the Matt Campbell era, it's here, it's now. It's time to see him grab those players that he wants to stay and the ones we want to retain, and then also bring in his key pieces and let's see how we can develop them and make us a championship contender tier team. A couple of notables that came out a little bit earlier today. Nick Dawkins, we all knew this. He did opt out last minute, declared for the NFL draft. He, I think, will get drafted. He's going to have a great career in the NFL. He was someone that was always referred to as the mayor. Everybody loves him. Great guy. We already knew Drew Shelton also declared for the NFL. Don't know necessarily where he'll get drafted. We'll see. And then obviously Vega is declared for the draft as well. We already know about all the guys on the defense. That came out a little bit earlier. The surprise for me, I think, was earlier this week we had news that Zariah Fisher was no longer part of the team. And we come out today and we find out that he is in the transfer portal seeking his 7th year. So after 6 years with Penn State, he's going to go somewhere else and hopefully finish off his career and maybe go to the NFL. I'll be honest with you. I see why he is transferring and looking for another opportunity. I don't think there's enough there for him to make it to the NFL currently. A lot of injury issues every year. So that's why I think he's possibly looking for a different direction, maybe a better medical staff to make sure that he's fully ready, or maybe it's even the conditioning that he just wishes to have one more opportunity to see if he can live that dream of making it to the NFL. Overall, it was a wash season. I'm pretty glad that it's over, but I love that the guys fought all the way to the end. I love the guys who bought in. I love that we got to see some of the studs that were sitting on the bench and people were refusing to play them finally play. I do think there's a lot of talent on that team. I'm excited to see what Matt Campbell can do. As always, we are. See you guys next time.